everyone, so any of you that are pet owners know what it is about to always have to have a lint roller on hand, unless you have pets that don't shed. But I found a way to keep your lint roller within arm's reach and also make it part of your overall decor. This whimsical little sign that could hang in your mudroom or next to your closet, and it says it all because dogs. So if you want to learn how to make this, stay tuned. I will walk you through it step by step. So first thing, I'm going to lay down a few sheets of scrap paper so I don't stain my work surface. I'm once again using a dark walnut stain, and if you've been watching my recent videos, you know I am all about this color right now. An important note, always make sure that you thoroughly stir the stain before you use it. So I'm using a thin slab of pine for this. We had a long plank just sitting in the garage and I cut this off. It's about 7 by 8 inches. Now to stain the board, I'm going to use a sponge brush. This one is 2 inches. Always remember you don't need a lot of stain to get a very deep color. So just use gentle strokes, and you might need to stipple the brush just to get into some of the smaller nooks, and let that sit for a few minutes. Then you're going to take an old rag and wipe the excess stain off the board. And I'll let that sit and dry completely. Next up, I'm going to prep my vinyl stencil. I made this using my Cricut machine and the Design Space program, and if you want to learn more about that process, I'll link to a separate video below where I go into more detail on that. Now, I need to peel out the little pieces of my vinyl that are going to be painted over, and I'm using this tool called a weeder, so I'm weeding out the pieces of vinyl that I don't need. In this case, it's all the dots and the letters. For letters like G or O, you need to keep the inside loop of the letter on the stencil. Next, I'm going to cut a sliver of transfer tape. Now you can use masking tape or painter's tape for this step as a substitute. What we're really doing here is ensuring a smooth transition from the vinyl backing over to the wood. So the transfer tape will basically keep the stencil intact as we move it over. So you'll just peel off the back and cover all the exposed stenciling. And once you've laid all your transfer tape, you're going to remove the vinyl backing. So do this slowly. Since we have small lettering, some of it might prove tricky to peel off. So I like to fold the vinyl backing all the way back, so do a 180 with it. And this way I can see what stenciling might need a little extra help peeling off. And this is what you'll have when you've removed that backing. It's basically a big sticker that now we're going to place on our wood. So I'll center it and just place it on the wood. You'll want to make sure there are no air bubbles underneath, and for that I'm going to use a scraper. You could probably use a stiff spatula for this step if you don't have a scraper, or even the edge of a book. And the next step is to remove the transfer tape. So just as you did when you removed the vinyl backing, do this process slowly, peeling the tape all the way back to ensure the stencil stays intact. Although I've found that transfer tape tends to come off a lot more easily than the vinyl backing. And now it's time to paint. I like to use a paper plate as my paint palette, and I'm going to use another sponge brush. This one is 1 inch. I chose to use a white acrylic paint for this project. The white will stand out really nicely against that dark walnut stain. And then just start stippling the paint on. This is a pretty quick process since the stencil is kind of small, but I'll do 2 coats and let it sit for just a couple of minutes. And then before the paint totally sets, I'll start peeling the stencil off. I've had issues in the past where I let the paint dry completely and it's just more difficult to remove the stenciling. So just be careful as you peel this off. You obviously don't want any paint smears on your project. Now, you see I still have those tiny loose loops in a couple of letters. So I'll take my weeder again and use that to carefully peel off those smaller pieces. Okay, it's time to attach my hardware. I'm going to start by prepping a nail hole for the hook that I'm going to attach. So take any thin nail, use a measuring tape to find the center of the board, and then line it up where you want it. Then just sort of prick the spot with the nail and hammer it in up to, but no more than halfway. Since we're using a soft pine wood, we really don't have to hammer the entire depth of the board. And then you're going to pull that nail out and grab your hardware. So I'm using a 7/8 inch brass cup hook. You can find these in different colors, silver, black, or white, but I like the classy look of the brass, and I'll just carefully and firmly twist this into the wood, being extra careful that each twist stays straight, otherwise it might twist in on an angle and then it won't be flush with the board. And just hang your lint roller like so, and you've got yourself a very cute little storage space for something that might otherwise look out of place were it just sitting out. It's pretty cool, right? Guys, thank you so much, as always, for watching, and I will see you in the next video.